Meta content choice menu, a feature implemented straight into the Instagram Reels that opens up a menu for users to actually choose watch categories that are assigned using AI. So by giving them that dopamine spike right away, that allows them to quell that need to doom scroll and therefore spend less time on the platform.
How do you set a great company culture or team culture?
Yeah, so the main thing that I kind of look for when forming a team is
Welcome to Capital Tycoon, the place where future innovators come to learn. My next guest is a 17-year-old entrepreneur and independent business owner. As a product manager living in the LA metropolitan area, Nicholas is interested in building equitable products and software to solve the world's biggest problems. Between his interests in product management, assistive technology, and digital marketing, he hopes to bring new developments to people in large numbers. Recently, he finished up a global 4-week challenge sprint against Meta, creating a safer algorithm for Instagram Reels from a psychological standpoint to quell doom scrolling, which won the grand prize. Nicholas, please tell me about what inspired you to get into product management and what does it mean to you?
Yeah, so the main reason why I really enjoy product management is because it's always been something that combined all of my interests together. So, for example, I've always been interested in business, technology, as well as leadership, and product management was kind of that in between of that intersection between everything I've always been interested in. So, really developing products, having that creative engineering side, as well as being able to lead a team of different individuals like software engineers, data analysts, product designers, as well as lastly, analyzing market demand, this whole business aspect. So it was really culmination of everything that I really enjoyed how to do. And I'm really glad I came across product management.
Okay. And how did you teach yourself these skills, product management, assistive technology, and digital marketing?
Yeah. So all of it was majority self-taught. So a lot of it was kind of really realizing that I had an interest in this. So I saw YouTube videos, a lot of, articles, seeing what other people were doing to also learn, as well as I was really lucky to have a lot of real world experiences with this as well. So realizing this passion, I actually applied cold emailing to over 60 companies, just trying to get my foot in the door to say, hey, I'm really interested in this field and I hope that I can learn and kind of shadow some of your top mentors to see really what's going on in this field and how I can help. So I cold emailed over 60 companies, two responded to me, and I got internships with both of them. And from there, I was really able to accelerate my growth, learning from, top of the line educators. And that was really how it set off from there.
Okay, interesting. And what was the process like from the beginning of the challenge to winning the grand prize globally? So, for context, you and I are both in a program for young people called TKS, or the Knowledge Society, for those that don't know. Um, and could you expand on any highlights you learned from the challenge and from your own perspective as the product manager of the team? So, please walk me through the whole process from the start of your team project right up to winning the grand prize and pitching to Meta Oversight Board Executives.
Yeah. So I guess I'll just start from the very, very beginning. So even when it came to coming up with a team in general, it was a little difficult because I'm a huge public speaker. So I consulted a lot of other individuals who were also interested in this challenge. And some of them mentioned that if they weren't the public speaker for this team or not the project manager, they didn't want to be in it. So I definitely was a really grueling process to really find the individuals that I wanted to work with. But once we settled upon it, we were good to go. And then, like you mentioned, as part of this challenge sprint, we had two options, right? So it was I could either work with Google or I could work with Meta. And actually, at the start, we were actually planning to work with Google. So how that worked was, We thought, Google is this really great big company. Their problem statement looks daunting. I think it was about educating the people in the company about updates to their current products and how they can keep their whole team updated. And we thought this would be a great opportunity. A week went by. We didn't see much progress. A lot of our team members actually couldn't understand the prompt to the fullest extent. That I kept feeling that there was gaps in their understanding, and they actually couldn't get a full grasp of what was going on. So as the product manager for our group, I just mentioned, hey, what if we just pull a full 180? And with this being, I think it was already a week, which was like 30% of our project time already done. We're basically starting from zero again. So we were originally going to do Google, but we actually retracted and had to pivot 180 because I wanted to make sure all of our group members was on the same page, because or else no one would be able to be confident in the work that they were actually pushing out. So with that being said, we redirected, and I really wanted to make sure that we were doing something that aligned to all of our skill sets. So for example, we had one person who was really good at UX design. We had another person who was fairly competent in the software engineering side. And then for me in general, I'm pretty accelerated at actually public speaking. So speaking to actually the board of directors, I was pretty confident about, as well as prototyping. So I'm huge on Figma prototypes, really communicating my vision to what people want to see and actually having like interactive mock-ups of the things that I'm talking about. And then we worked on that challenge sprint for about 2 weeks, came up with a sort of an algorithm slash feature that could be implemented on the platform called the Meta Content Choice menu. That would be a feature implemented straight into the Instagram Reels that opens up a menu for users to actually choose watch categories that are assigned using AI to actually learn a little bit more about what they actually want to see and give them full autonomy over what it is that they want to watch or learn about on that given day. So, for example, with this current era of doom scrollers, which you may have been hearing about, or people who frequently scroll through the platform, the main thing that they kind of worry about is because they're searching for this dopamine hit of videos that they want to see, that it's this in between time of them getting random videos that aren't related to their interests that keep them hooked on this platform. So by giving them that dopamine spike right away, that allows them to quell that need to doom scroll and therefore spend less time on the platform. So we worked on that for about 2 weeks, made a few prototype mockups, and ended up submitting that to our mentors in the Knowledge Society. And they chose our pitch. I believe it was one of two or maybe one of one that my specific director chose. I'm not sure how many he chooses between. And then that brought us to a final round of, I believe, 16 different teams that all directors had chosen. So from there, all of our decks were submitted to the Meta Oversight Board of, I believe it was someone named Christiana, who basically went through all of our decks, not with presentations, and basically saw, hey, which one do I really want to see and which one looks good? So they ended up choosing ours as one of the five that they wanted to see. And from there, it was all crunch time. So we wanted to redesign our entire deck to make sure it was something that they really wanted to see. So I was actually traveling to Tokyo at that time, and I went through the entire deck and worked with my team internationally to actually redesign the entire deck, made sure it was upgraded, did not look elementary, and had it as professional as possible. And lastly, the date came along. I believe it was February 3rd or something, where we finally had the opportunity to present it to the oversight board. There were two people from that oversight board, and I actually skipped school for this opportunity. And yeah, it was a great experience. Try to keep it as conversational as possible. She was super happy and energetic to be there, so I decided to reciprocate that same energy. And yeah, it was overall a great experience. Prepared a lot for that final presentation, and I'm glad it executed pretty well. So yeah, that was that whole process.
Wow, that is quite the story and great to hear. More on gathering your team. How does one gather a great team, would you say? And from your own personal experience from the challenge, like what do you look for in when taking individuals on board? And then how do you set a great company culture or team culture?
Yeah, so the main thing that I kind of look for when forming a team is it really comes down to one thing, and it's basically grit or how hard you work. With a lot of these challenges, you're going to have to adapt no matter what. No matter if you're the best software engineer or the best UX designer, you're going to need to do some learning and be able to do some adapting along the way. So, for example, I have had a lot of people on teams and hackathon teams in the past be, the brightest robotics student or the best person at computer aided design. But at the same time, they were kind of lacking in the ability to really communicate with me the problems that they were going through or, being able to adapt to the challenges that we were working with. So, for example, not everyone is going to know how to really develop an algorithm for Instagram Reels right off the bat, right? But it's that grit or that willingness to learn that I really look for that allows people to adapt along the way. And as long as they're willing to be taught and willing to work hard, that's the most important thing. I believe that as someone who is huge on communication, I can teach you, I can communicate to you all of my visions, but if they're not willing to learn, not willing to show up, then that disconnect doesn't really make a great team. So yeah.
Couldn't agree more. And what's your take on the current state of the major social media platforms and the impact it has on young people? And how can we mitigate the negative effects it has on young people? Do you see social media as good or bad?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a fairly common answer, but I'll get more in depth to what I mean by this. So it's all within reason, right? I definitely think it's depending on how you use social media that it really comes down to how you use it that gives you your result. So for example, for me personally, I'm a huge person on cinematography, right? So I love watching cinematography videos, film, everything like that. I definitely do use Instagram and other platforms for social purposes to connect with friends, to text people, etc. But at the same time, it's really a creative outlet for me to learn. Some of the best AI tools also that I've learned about came from looking at social media and different people talking about, hey, this is the latest and greatest AI tool that just came out. Or for example, here's Sora, the biggest chat GPT update that just came out. All of these different things I learned about through social media, right? But it's kind of a balance between what are the people that you're following? Why are you actually spending the time on the platform? It's all within reason. There's also other platforms like LinkedIn, for example. I technically count it as social media, but it's job social media. But on that same note, right? It's do you want to spend your time on Instagram or do you want to spend your time on LinkedIn? There's so many opportunities and people that you can learn from on these different platforms, or you can spend the time mindlessly scrolling. It's all within reason and what you want to spend the time on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. And what are some mindsets you have learned or found useful when it comes to being a leader?
Yeah. I think my main mindset or the main mantra that I go by is that communication is everything. Kind of along the note of what you said about why or what I look for in a team, communication is the backbone that I always preach by, that I think is the most important trait that anyone should learn. Um, I come from a big speech and debate background, so I spent over 4 years writing, presenting speeches, local, state, national levels. And I think as part of that, the thing that I've always learned is no matter how technical, no matter how advanced your technical ability is, it all comes down to how well you can communicate about it, right? I could be the brightest founder of a startup, but if I can't communicate to other people, what the startup actually does or why it matters to me, then people won't see that same vision as I do. So communication is definitely the big thing that I've learned or the mindset that I kind of go by to say, hey, if I want to be successful, I need to be able to communicate my vision as clearly as possible to make sure anyone I'm working with, whether it's investors looking at my company to see if it's different people who are working on my team, communication is definitely that backbone that allows us to really connect and form great ideas as a whole.
Okay, sure. And tell me more about your passion for cinematography and how you turned it into your own independent business, editing for over 600,000 viewers.
Yeah, so my passion for cinematography actually started from a pretty young age. I used to play video games a whole ton. my mom would frequently trying to be pulling me off the Xbox when I was in middle school and etc. And I think as part of that, something I really enjoyed doing was kind of clipping small videos from those games that I would play. So for example, if there was a really nice moment with friends, or if there was a really intense moment where I was playing the video game and I hit a really nice trick shot or for something, right? I would start clipping all of these moments and actually decided to turn it into a montage, which is basically combining all of these edits or videos together to create a kind of seamless one video, right? And that was kind of my motivation that started video editing. So I would play all of these video games, I would get really good at them, and then I would start clipping moments from these video games to actually form into a montage. Then over time, as I came into high school, definitely less time to play video games and more time working. So I thought, hey, how do I still find this creative spark while working these long hours studying, etc., right? So something that I actually really enjoyed was actually documenting still shots of different things that I would be doing. So for example, I actually started just from my phone. So I'd grab my phone, set it on, say, a porch, a water bottle, anything that I could find, and just film myself, right? Just studying or eating out with friends. The really main thing that I was focusing on is enjoying these small moments that I had with friends or with family because I often overlook them as a part of studying or working so hard. So, you know, I really tried to preach being able to start with anything. So I just started from my phone, just set it up anywhere, and then edited these things, these still shots into a final cinematic video that I could make. Then from there, I started adopting more and more clients. People started coming to me to actually get their videos edited, some of which, like you said, had over 600,000 viewers. And that really made me keep on going. So now at my current stage, I'm now upgraded from the phone. So I'm now filming on an actual camera, 4K, all of that cool stuff. But still along that same note of really trying to appreciate those small moments in life, right? You see a lot of these cinematic videos of people traveling or like diving underwater in these cool scenarios. But a lot of my videos are kind of that slice of life that we don't usually see. Working, eating with family, hanging out with friends. I really try to emphasize these small moments in life to make sure that me and other people appreciate it as much as possible.
That's fascinating to hear. And how do you think it relates to your work as a product manager? Um, do you see any connections between cinematography and product creation?
Yeah, so the main thing that I really see is kind of that creative aspect of product ideation. So a lot of the times on the baseline of coming into a challenge sprint, for example, with Meta's case, right? It was how can we make our platform safer for individuals and also have them have a high quality experience? So a lot of that ideation period was actually comes from cinematography, right? I'm always thinking about new videos, new shots to create. So really keeping that creative side firing allows me to create better products in general. Additionally, I also am trying to monetize my business and have monetized my business for cinematography is actually something that I can use to showcase the entire product process. So, for example, product process comes from, there's a user demand, there's something in the market right now that really needs to be solved, and then I want to ideate a product to solve that specific problem and then carrying out that whole creative process of actually developing it. So maybe it's filming that video, and then lastly it's actually posting it, monetizing it to actually get money, and then from there redoing it again but improving the process so you can actually improve on the product. So I actually see my YouTube channel as actually just a big product, I guess you could say. So really in the future, when I'm whether it's creating a startup or applying for big companies for product roles, I can outline this whole creative experience of ideation, um, like engineering an actual video, and then recurring feedback on it to actually showcase that entire product process.
Okay, that's insightful. And having founded your business at a young age, what would your message be to our generation, the youth, who want to make a positive impact on humanity?
Yeah. I think my main message would be it would just be don't be afraid to try new things. I know that seems really cliche at first, but you'll see time and time again that as a youth, people will kind of look down on you for whatever you do, just for being different in general, right? The way I always preach it is that there's no right way to success. If you want to be a product manager, if you want to be a startup founder, it's okay to be different from the rest of the pack who's, you know, whether you see all of these college dropouts all of the time, or just as simple as in my case, just being able to try new things, to create a YouTube channel, to have internships as a high schooler. It's something that as you start out, a lot of people will kind of look down on you or kind of look at you in a weird way because they say, why are you spending so much time filling your schedule with all of these things from such a young age? Don't you want to come, like hang out with us or just take a break for this one weekend? I'm a huge person on both sides on work-life balance, to be able to hang out with friends and to be able to get that work done. But you're going to see a lot of people definitely look down on you for all of these different things you're doing at first, to think that your YouTube channel's a little cringy or to think that your internships are, too advanced for a high schooler to be even be doing. But I think over time, people will start to realize that you are on the right path. And if you quit too early because of what people have to say, then you're going to end up regretting it when people follow that same path just 10 years down the line. So really being okay with not following the status quo and just really being able to follow what you really enjoy. And I think as a part of that, people will follow suit in the future. You just have to be able to be patient with it.
I agree. And I'll also add, like, I think as a young person, it's important to, I think being a young person is it's the most important time to be taking risks. And also, yeah, just following the unconventional path, like not following the status quo, as you said. Um, Now, tell me about your experience co-creating products with three companies with over $545,000 raised to date.
Yeah, so this kind of goes back to how I kind of learned about product management in general. So going back there, cold emailing companies, two responded to me, and there were two companies that basically said, "Hey, we're willing to take a chance on you. You can come on our business development or product management team, and we'll take you in." So with that, the main concern that I had, I was just a junior at the time. So I was maybe 16, I believe. And as a really young person coming into this huge field, it was a big jump for me. So the main way I kind of looked at it was I can either look at my age as a weakness, something that, people will look down on me because I'm a young person, or as an asset, right? That I have that youth perspective to say, hey, I have this different perspective that can help you actually improve your target audience and how you reach them. And then from there, be a valuable asset for people to use to say, hey, what do you think of this? We want to be able to target youth. Um, I think it is important to note what those two companies are. So one was a e-commerce company that helped small businesses track organizational tools and have pricing calculators, etc. And then the second one was a K through 12 mental health company that kind of focused on helping students across the world with their mental health by developing digital products. So really, you can see with that second one, with that mental health K through 12 one, my age came in huge there because I was in their target audience. I'm in the K through 12 industry, frequently interact with different individuals from there. So that was a big thing that kind of helped me realize, hey, my age is actually something that I can utilize here to help this company, right? So from there, I really helped their company with different terms. I coined a term called youthability, which is basically the appeal to youth that their product could have, and really honed in on different aspects of their company, like the resources that they pushed out or the products that they kind of created, kind of made sure that they had the most youth appeal as possible to help them get investors or different people actually using their company because I tried to help them tailor it as much as possible.
Okay. Now, I know you mentioned that you believe in work-life balance, but I'm sort of curious, how do you balance your work given you have you're part of internships, businesses, and competitions alongside your studies?
Yeah, so this is actually Pretty hard question because it's something that I frequently still work on every day. But I think the main thing is really knowing how to fill in the gaps of time, right? So, for example, right now, you can't see because of my blurred background, but I'm actually at school right now. So, taking this meeting is something that, I knew that it was a opportunity or something that I wanted to contribute to, but at the same time, I knew that this would be a time in my day where, maybe I'm taking a class that has a little bit more of that free time to be able to have this meeting with you and to fill in those gaps, right? So this 40-minute meeting is something that I can plug into my school day, then that's all the better. So alongside that, it kind of goes along with everything, right? There's a lot of free time that you see in classes or stuff like that, where you'll sometimes have this free period of time to do homework or to do competition work. And I think it's really important to notice that everyone will say, "Hey, how do you find so much time for all of these different things?" But on that same note, we have so much time. We spend over 6 hours on our phones or computers a day, right? So really making sure to fill in those gaps. Another thing that I also realized is don't underestimate the social connections or your personal health. I think that's something that people often overlook is to say, hey, I only slept 4 hours of sleep last night. I'm on the grind, right? And, you know, from my perspective, sure, great for you if that works. But in my personal experience, you work better by being better, right? You're a better leader, you're a better communicator, you can think better when you're going less stress. So don't overlook the social connections that you have. Don't drop all your friends just because you're doing a challenge for Meta, right? Really making sure you balance everything. Everything plays into one another, and I think that's something that's really important to know.
That's true, yeah. Who inspires you?
For me personally, I think my brother inspires me the most. My brother is 2 years above me, and I believe he's a sophomore at Berkeley, UC Berkeley right now. So him and I are very, very really similar. We, at first, it just came along from people saying, we look similar, but it expanded to much more than that. We both are very interested in venture capital, startup founding, product management, really love that whole technical side. So with him being 2 years above me, it really gives me, kind of that idol to follow to always be 2 years ahead because I'm following in his footsteps, right? So that's why a lot of this internship and all of these things came along is because he started it and I learned about it from a very young age. So yeah, he's a super really uh charismatic and also just he's very generous with his knowledge. I guess that's the best way to put it. So I'm really grateful for him. And also, he's something that I really look forward to and someone who I look up to on a daily basis.
That's wonderful. What are you going to be working on next?
I think my main things for working on next is definitely going to be continuing on the path of cinematography and really developing my knowledge on the product creation process. So what I mean by the YouTube channel is being able to really monetize my passion into something that, into an actual independent business, right? So being able to really earn money to be able to get actual human impact on the videos that I'm making is going to be really important in the product creation side to really carry out that full product process. Also going to be looking for some new internships as well. I'm in the process of applying to a couple more internships to really diversify my experiences. So software engineering, UX design, all of these different things. I want to learn to be a better, well-rounded individual on the product management side as well. I think by learning these different technical roles, it allows you to be able to lead them in a better way as well. And then lastly, I think my end goal down the road is hopefully to create my own startup. So at first, my dream job was to be, a product manager at Google, for example, right? And that was kind of it, right? That was my dream job. But at the same time, I've been opening up my mind to more startup founding as well, to be able to actually form a deep passion for actually starting something from the ground up. And I think there's no better way to learn than to do startups or to actually form a business off the bat. At the same time, there is a lot of room for failure, but I think it's something that I can definitely learn from and something that I'm really excited to try out in the future.
Okay, great. And now we have a closing tradition on the podcast where I ask every guest a question, an impromptu question. So my question to you is, if there's one quote or lesson which you learned through your work, what would that be?
Dang, impromptu question. Um, if there's one thing that I learned from a quote that represents my work, I think the way that I'd put it is I think it's from Dwayne the Rock Johnson, I think. And it's either you start one day or you make today day one. Sounds a little cheesy at first, but there's a lot of truth to it. It's because we always tell ourselves that we want to do these things, right? To get internships, all of these things, but then we end up procrastinating them for hours and hours or days to weeks or years, right? Same thing with health, right? We tell ourselves that in times of stressful workloads that, hey, I'll care about my health after this, or that I'll work out after I finish this challenge sprint. But at the same time, are you just gonna say one day that I'll do it, or are you gonna make today day one, right? So I think at the end of the day, it's all up to your priorities that it comes down to, if something matters enough to you, you'll make it a priority, right? And I think that's the important thing, to be able to start right away, to not procrastinate and to make, today, this day one that you're going to start on that project, that internship, or whatever it is. I think that's a really important mindset to have.
Absolutely, yeah. Um, and is there anywhere people can like if they want to contact you or find out more about your work, go to online for like your website or social medias?
Yeah, so I have a website. It's actually just my name, so it's nicholaschua.com. So you can find me there. It has everything like my contacts, LinkedIn, anything like that. You could probably search up my LinkedIn as well. It's just you can probably search up my name and it'll come up as one of the first ones. But yeah, that's the main thing. Just find me at my website or anything else. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Nicholas, for coming on my podcast. And I appreciate you taking your time out of school to do this. And yeah, it's been a great pleasure having you on.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
You too. Thanks.